The next example we see, continuing with converting fractions and decimals to percents, is a two-way table. So I'm introducing this word two-way table. One of the neat things about this table is that you can read it two ways. So you can read from left to right, horizontally, and you can read up and down, so you can read vertically. So here's our information. The two-way table indicates the result of a study where 2- and 4-year institutions were asked how they felt about increasing tuition. So we're going to complete the table so that the totals match among the rows and columns. So horizontally is called a row, throwing in one more word, and vertically is called a column. You can read this two-way table this way and this way, or we can read this two-way table this way and this way and this way. So let's go ahead and finish completing the two-way table. We are missing some values, and sometimes it's easy to get started with rows, sometimes it's easy to get started with columns. The thing that we have to really kind of observe is the totals. Whenever a total is filled in, then that makes it easier for us. So for example, in this row here, we have a total. And so I know that the total of this row should be 50. And I already have 26 people in favor with a 2-year. So I want to know how many go here. So I'm going to take 50 minus 26, and that is going to give me 24. So my value in here is 24. So I'm going to take a look at the 4-year. See how we have two missing values, and you cannot find those two values because we don't know what they are. We move on to a column. So here, since I have a total, I'm able to see what I'm missing. Let's use this 230 minus the 26 students that are already there, and we are going to have 204 students missing. Let me write it like this. And now I have this against column almost full, and I know how many are at a 2-year, how many are at a 4-year, so I see the total. So notice filling in is a little messy. I jump all over the place, and you kind of have to keep track of what it is that you're doing. So I'm adding 24 plus 60, so this total here is 84. And now I'm able to look at the 4-year row that I couldn't fill in earlier, and I know this will come from 204 plus 60, and this is 264 total. Last, we have a total of everything. Now this total should match this way, and this total should match this way. They should be exactly the same. In other words, we have 230 plus 84 should be the same total as 50 plus 264. If they're not the same total, then you did something wrong. Our total here is 314. This part here is, once again, a two-way table, and we take care to make sure that, here we go, our totals match among the rows and the columns. That's what we just did, and it got a little bit messy, but that's how it works. Before I move on to answer the questions, one of the things that I want to look at is understanding the table. So we did go in and fill in our values, but remember, just as graphs, it's always so important to understand what's happening in your table before you try to answer something. This table is about 2- and 4-year institutions. So for example, APCC compared to UTEP, and they were asked a question about how they felt increasing tuition, okay? So for example, I can look at this group here. This is 26 people in a 2-year university or institution, and they are in favor of raising tuition. What I am doing right now is that same tip that I gave you about writing your own sentence in a graph to understand if you understand the graph. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. Let's do it again. Let's pick a different number. How about if I pick 60? This is 60 people in a 4-year institution who are against raising tuition. What about some of the totals? Let's look at another one. What if I pick this 230? This is 230 people total are in favor of raising tuition. Now, these 230 people are mixed now. They have a mix of 2-year people and 4-year people. And last, let's take a look at our 314. This 314 shows you the total people who responded to the survey, regardless if they're in favor, if they're against, if they're in a 2-year or a 4-year. It's everybody in here. Okay, so after going through those numbers, I feel that I have a good understanding of what this table is representing and showing. So I'm able to move on to our questions. How many people answered in favor of increasing tuition? People answered in favor. It doesn't tell me if it's a 2-year or 4-year, so it's actually a total. And this is going to be 230. What fraction, we're going to create a fraction, of the total people answered in favor of increasing tuition? So I'm going to put this in words first and then talk to you about the actual numbers. A fraction is always represented with a part over a total. In this case, the part happens to be increasing, and then the total happens to be, the total people who answered the survey. So let's set up these two values. The people in favor of increasing, we just found that in the part above, which is 230. And then what's the total amount of people? This is 340. What percent of the total people answered in favor of increasing tuition? This is actually the same question. Now we're just asking you to go to a percent. So we have 230. So how are we going to go to percent? We're going to have a fraction. We're going to divide 4 decimal. We just did this in the part above, right? And then we're going to multiply by 100%, 4%. 230 divided by 314, and this gives us 0.73248400764. Okay, so we're going to take this number and we're going to multiply by 100. I hope that you know what it's going to do. Okay, it's going to move our decimal 2 places to the right. It's going to be 73 point. And then I didn't actually ask you how many decimal places I needed. Okay, be mindful of when you're using MyLab, for example, in your 1342 course. It'll be very specific about how many decimal places you need. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 decimal places. So it's 248. Do you see that? 248. So I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. Because this number is an 8, it's going to make this go up 1. So I'm going to have 25. And this is approximately 73.25. Values that we're looking for. Notice my percentage symbol here. Now, if you think about what happened at the beginning where I asked you how many people answered in favor, I kind of just was shifting your eyes to see where you should pay attention. The other 2 questions are the actual math work involved. Let's do another one. Of the people surveyed, how many people attended a 2-year institution? So of everybody that was surveyed, how many people attended a 2-year institution? So let's focus your eyes here. I have 2-year institution, And so my total is 50 people 50 people attended a 2-year institution. What fraction of the total people, okay, so I have a fraction and then it's telling me what to do, total, attended a 2-year institution. So then I have 50 over 314. I hope you guessed it. Let's go ahead, and it says the next one is percent. So let's go ahead and take out our calculator and calculate this. So this is going to be 50 divided by 314. And so this is going to be approximately 15.92. If you notice, the last number is a 3, so if I was rounding, this 2 would stay, it would not go up. So I have 15.92%. All right, you're going to try D. Let's move on to E. How many people answered against increasing tuition? If you notice, when I'm focusing on against, this is a column. So 84 people were against increasing tuition. What fraction of the total people, I still have total people, so it's 314, answered against increasing tuition? So I have 84. And our last one's going to be what percent of the total people are against increasing tuition? So we're going to take our number and this is going to give us 26. Remember, this is a percent. So 2 places, 75. The last number is a 1 here, so that would not make me go up. So I have 26.75. Great. I hope that you got the hang of reading this, and I hope that you see the goal of how we're staggering these questions for you, and it becomes easy for you to create these fractions and these percentages.